listen to the podcast of this and know that I had a part in making the show, and it makes a dark day seem a little bit brighter. I was like, wow, that's like really, really, forget the compliment, because it's an amazing and wonderful compliment. But to feel like, Funkhouser and I just shooting our mouths off has a positive effect on anyone's life for any reason whatsoever, it's really cool. Very much appreciate that. Jacob actually said that once or twice we shouted him out on the show, and he played it to his kids, and that was kind of a cool-ass deal for him, too. So that's really cool. I don't know. These are the times when, you know how we were talking about whatever it is becomes whatever it is that you do becomes a job eventually, no matter how much you love it. These are the times where it's definitely not a job, when you get sort of tweets or emails or what have you from folks like Jeff or Jacob who, say, hey, you mentioned me on the show and I played it to my kids, and that made me feel like a rock star to my kids, which was really cool. But Jacob went on the record saying that he thought Mad Max was awesome, figured it would do well. It did well, but not as well as Pitch Perfect 2. You went to see Pitch Perfect 2, didn't you, Funkhouser?
No, not yet. I saw Pitch Perfect 1, and I really want to see 2.
Oh, okay.
For many reasons.
It beat Mad Max Fury Road at the box office. Either way, guarantee that a chick flick was going to win. I think Fury Road's failure is directly attributed to its lack of fat jokes. That Rebel Wilson chick is A, hilarious, B, totally willing to make fun of the fact that she's fat. But I wonder, if that winds up being damaging in the long run. Like I was saying, I've got this buddy Randall Reeder, and if you saw him, you'd know him. He was in Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. He was in W, the movie about George Bush that Oliver Stone did. You'd know him if you saw him. He's been in episodes of King of the Hill and Walker, Texas Ranger, and just tons and tons of stuff. He did an incredible job in that movie, Sin City. Absolutely incredible. But old Randall is a big dude, probably 6'4", 6'5", former wrestler, and an enormous guy. And he said he was trying to lose weight, and I was like, do you worry about that? Do you worry about being typecast as an enormous guy? And he was like, yeah. And whenever I go to lose weight, it's crazy because I need to. When you're that big of a human being, it's harder. There's a lot more wear and tear on your body parts. Add to that you've been a pro wrestler and you've thrown yourself around in a very damaging way. There's some serious health issues that come up with, your back or with your knees or your joints or what have you. And there's a lot of wear and tear that gets put on your body, and you'd suffer a lot less. You'd have a much longer lifespan. Everything would be significantly better if you managed to drop a few pounds. And he was like, this drives me crazy. Whenever I talk about wanting to lose some weight, I get into a situation where people around me are like, ooh, but don't you worry that'll, take away from you and what you are? He's like, oh, you know what else would take away from me and being what I am? Dying. So I'm going to have the salad. Thanks. So it's weird. I wonder what's going to happen with that Rebel Wilson chick as she goes through life. I don't know. Love her. Think she's hilarious. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, though. I guess if Pitch Perfect 2 beat Mad Max Fury Road, I'm guessing that the scene where Mad Max sits on top of a speeding steel death machine, flipping red Solo cups for nothing, it was all for nothing. Sweet, delicious coffee. Oh, yeah, the news bed. I thought there was something missing. What else, Funkhouser?
The 2015 Billboard Music Awards went down last night from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas.
The big winner? Anyone who watched the last episode of Mad Men instead.
Man, I tried to get through that whole 3-hour broadcast, but toward the end, it's like...
What are you talking about? Some of the top talents in music were on hand. One Direction was there, too.
And they let the only Irish dude talk. It really confused me. It was either them or the other band... 5 seconds of crap that won. And then, which one was the one? I think it was One Direction, because they said, we like to dedicate this to our brother Zion. But the guy that was talking was the only Irish one. So I was like, are they from Ireland or England?
I really don't know anything about them. I know they're the biggest band in the world, and I became aware of one of their songs. Where I was like, oh, I've heard this. So this is One Direction? This sucks. And my
girlfriend's like, okay, that's the Irish one. She knows. She's like, no, that's the Irish one that's talking. They're not all Irish. It's just that's the one.
Yeah, if you missed it, don't worry if you didn't see it, because you can see the exact same thing at the next 27 music industry award shows this year. Self-aggrandizing, overly self-congratulatory party of reach-arounds from people that, let's be real here, don't really work for a living. I give those things a big misseroo. Was there any, like, what I do is I watch the highlights online the next day if there's anything worth seeing.
Oh,
anything
I got
happened?
one.
What happened?
Well, Luda was, oh man, I'm just trying to think. In the first scene, some lady trips and falls. And it's one of the funniest little scenes. It's like, because us as broadcasters, we're looking for something to talk about. So I'm like, come on! And right in the beginning, some lady, like one of the people that work there that shouldn't be on camera, was trying to run out of the camera and tripped over somebody's dress and totally fell. It was the funniest thing ever. Britney Spears played with Iggy. Who dat? And Britney was looking interesting.
As you and I have discussed, seeing Britney Spears and Iggy Azalea on television, that is why we have a mute button.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was attracted to it or not. I felt funny on the insides, but I don't know for what reason.
The whole Britney thing never, not bad looking, but for whatever reason, just there's something about her body that doesn't do it for me. You know, like when she wears these like low cut skin tight things. I don't know. It's like she has one of those overly mannish. She has one of those overly mannish. My hormonal balance is off because I was on a Russian gymnastics team from the ages 8 till 12, and now I carry myself in an overly manly way. Britney Spears' body is like that, isn't it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Van Halen performed at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. I believe when they got done, they went back to their rooms at Geezer's Palace.
With the feelings that are associated with the sad life that I'm bringing, the tears and the singing. Being alive isn't a gift when there's so much you have missed, and so little ringing true. But the words to you by the people you trusted, when it all came down to choosing your ideals, developing your fears. Why sports I always blood up with black light.
Delivering fascinating subjects, interesting talk, and boobs and fart jokes. AD on iHeartRadio.
It seems as though we have something in common with our listeners in that, generally speaking, we do not watch award shows. Lisa H. tweeted us saying, Game of Thrones is greater than the Billboard Awards. Hashtag gods of tits and wine. Sorry, I'm just reveling in probably my favorite hashtag all week. I know it's only Monday, but I think that will be my favorite hashtag for the rest of the week as well. Alrighty then. Let's talk for a second about politically correct nonsense. Have you ever seen Louis C.K. live? You don't even have to see him live. You just have to go to one of his, you watch one of his specials on Netflix. There is absolutely 100 million % nothing in any way, shape, or form that is politically correct out of it. Louis C.K. is smart enough, brilliant enough, to the point where you know every single time he's opening his mouth, there's a point. There's something worthwhile. Yeah, there's some cheap laughs. But there's some real thought put into a lot of what he does. And that seems like trivializing Louis C.K., saying, oh, he really thinks about what he says. He's one of our time's great thinkers, I think. But the stuff that he does live in his specials is, it's rugged. It's pretty raw. It's very edgy. But people know him. He has an audience. People get it. And what he did on Saturday Night Live that has the internet enraged with him was, well, there were some jokes in his monologue about pedophilia that made a lot of people very uncomfortable. Or seemed like they made a lot of people uncomfortable. Bill Cosby, he sat for an interview, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit as well. A lot of sort of monumental societal shifts over the weekend, having to do directly with comedians. But Louis C.K. hosted Saturday Night Live this past weekend, and his monologue was, well, it was edgy, not necessarily edgy by his standards, but it was 8 minutes long. An 8-minute stand-up comedy routine included jokes about pedophilia. He said that when he was growing up in the 70s, there was a town child molester, and nobody really treated it like a big deal. Then he joked about how pedophiles must really love molesting kids because they still do it despite the huge ramifications if they're caught. And he went on, and I quote, "So it must be really good. I mean, from their point of view, not ours. It must be amazing for them to risk so much." And then he compared it to his love of Mounds candy bars. He said, quote, "If someone said to me, if you eat another Mounds bar, you'll go to jail and everybody will hate you, I'd stop eating them. Because they do taste delicious, but they don't taste as good as a young boy does, apparently. And shouldn't to a child molester." When the audience groaned at one point, he said, "How do you think I feel? This is my last show, probably." Anyways, people are complaining about it left, right, and center on social media. Did Louis C.K. mess up? Well, yeah, kind of. I don't think he messed up in his routine. I don't think that anybody that was a fan of Louis C.K. was in any way, shape, or form shocked, surprised, or offended. But the way he messed up was he forgot he was on network television. And I'm not saying anything he did was wrong. Saturday Night Live happens late at night. There's this thing in broadcasting. It's called safe harbor. And if you're going to air any objectionable or potentially offensive material, you've got to do it in something called safe harbor after 10 o'clock at night. And that is when you can kind of get away with more. But here's the thing. We live in a society where it used to be very clearly defined. We'll peel back the curtain, let you a little bit more into the world of what it's like to be a broadcaster in this day and age. It used to be very, very clearly defined what you could and could not say on television or on the radio. There were those 7 words that you couldn't say. A legendary bit now. But here's the thing. Exactly. Here's the thing. As entertainment has less and less to do with anything that the FCC can govern, like the FCC has nothing to do with the internet. The FCC has nothing to do with what you put on Twitter. The FCC has nothing to do with any of the above. Twitter, Facebook, they can pop you for hate speech or something offensive or what have you, but it's their discretion. It's not federally regulated. There's no governing body telling you what you can and cannot do. And what this has done is it has allowed it to be open season for people saying what they want to say and doing what they want to do. And that level of freedom, whoa, can't have that in America. We are supposed to be the land of the free. But that kind of truly free speech, well, The politically correct thought police have something to say about that. And it used to be they could call the FCC, they could call the radio station, they could call the television station, they could